Happy Star Trek Day. Um, 57 years ago today, the first episode of Star Trek aired. Yesterday, the first episode of the new series of Star Trek Lower Decks aired. Nearly 6 decades later, and it's still being made. New versions of it are still being created and speaking to new people and new generations and far more eloquent people than I have discussed before the enormous cultural, technological, scientific impact of Star Trek. If you don't know about that, I would definitely recommend reading up about it, especially with relation to matters of kind of social impact and stuff. Dr. Mae Jemison, the first black woman in space, was at least partly inspired to become an actual astronaut because of Uhura. Like, its impact is genuinely immeasurable. How do you measure the impact something has on a person? I mean, that's, I guess, part of what this video is for me, is just to share a little bit of what Trek means to me, especially part of why I love it so much. And like many children of the 80s, I was introduced to the original series by my dad, who loved it for, as far as I can tell, very similar reasons to me. He enjoyed the kind of, the social commentary and all the ideas about exploring the world and planets and, what other peoples and races and species might be like and all that kind of stuff. But he also just found it really, really funny. Sometimes it was, that was the intention, as far as we can tell, of the show. Sometimes definitely not. um, Something like, for instance, the Pomeranian with I think it's a unicorn horn as an alien. I don't think that was really ever intended to be totally hilarious, but maybe it was. I don't know. Anyway, I have some pretty damn fond memories of watching Trek with my dad and him just howling with laughter, and presumably that's a big part of, why I came to love it. But as an adult, I have reflected on it very much in my own time. I have watched a lot of Star Trek. Quite often just have it running in the background when I'm doing stuff. Definitely over the last couple of years, I've been really reconnecting with it, and its impact on me is immeasurable. I am definitely a better person, partly because of Star Trek. I have learned so much. Like, it's like, for me, it's kind of the adult equivalent of Sesame Street. It teaches me so much about people and how to be a better person and how to think about things and when's the right time to stand up for something and when's the right time to just let stuff go. I'm not saying it's the only source of this kind of lesson in my life or anything, but it's had a humongous impact on me. I think about Star Trek all the time. I think about the kind of world I want to help build, partly because of Star Trek. You know, there's quite a famous story that Patrick Stewart tells about uh, uh, a conference, something like that. Anyway, where the whole team's there, and somebody in the audience asked Gene Roddenberry of Patrick Stewart, "Do you not think that by the 24th century they will have found a cure for baldness?" And Roddenberry's response was, "No, by the 24th century they won't care anymore." That's 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 the world that I want to live in. That's the world that I actively want to try and help build in whatever tiny, tiny way I can contribute to making that kind of future a mild possibility. Is just my absolute pleasure and honor. And I don't know if I would necessarily be quite as impassioned by that were it not for Star Trek. I'm sure it would still be a part of who I am. I'm sure part of what I love about Star Trek is because, not trying to make myself sound like some awesome saint here or anything, I'm far from perfect, but I try to be better and I try to learn and grow. And part of that is thanks to Star Trek. And I am I'm currently in the middle of putting together a small booklet of just how much it's possible to learn from Star Trek. There's always an analogy there. I see a thing about goes around that says on Star Trek the engines are capable of traveling at warp 9.9, but if you do that for too long, they burn out. I mean, that's like a perfect lesson right there about self-care and learning to stop and look after yourself and take a rest when you need it. Not pushing yourself at 100% all of the time, because you will burn out, just like a starship's engines. It's maybe silly to some people, but to me, that speaks to me far more than a lot of mental health talk or a lot of, self-help talk, because it's something I can really understand in a really deep way for me. And I don't think I'm alone in that. I know for a fact I'm not alone in that, actually. I know for a fact that there are other people out there who consider themselves to have grown and changed and become, in their view, better people because of Star Trek. You might be able to count the number of people who were inspired to go into STEM, partly because of the show. You might be able to look at pieces of technology or advancements or whatever and sort of go, oh yeah, I can see how that came from Star Trek. But there is no way to measure the impact it's had on me as a person and on other people. And I guess I just wanted folk to know that, so that you know that if there are things about me that you respect and admire, at least a tiny part of that comes from Star Trek. And you don't have to like the show. It's not for everyone. It can be extremely silly, which is one of the things I personally love about it. I love that you get an episode so DS9, for instance, you've got this episode called The Visitor it's stunning. It's Sisko's son when he's older and stuff, and oh my god, it is just so powerful, and it just punches you right in the heart. And it's just stunning. It's a beautiful, emotive, lovely episode of a wonderful show. And then there's also an episode called The Magnificent Ferengi, which is The Magnificent Seven, but with Ferengi, and it is one of the funniest, silliest, most wonderfully created farces in TV history. Like, it could teach Frasier a thing or two about farce. And I'm pretty sure that's also the episode that has Iggy Pop in it. And it's just so fun and wonderful and uplifting and daft and just pure freaking joy from beginning to end. And that's one of the things I love so much about the show. That one episode will teach me something so profound about the human spirit and about people or about society or about a matter of social justice. And the next episode will have B'Elanna Torres shouting, "Get this cheese to sickbay." It just, oh my god, what total freaking joy and wonder. And I am so, so grateful it exists. And I'm so grateful it's still being made. And I fucking love Lower Decks. It's so good. I'm a massive Futurama fan. And to me, Lower Decks is as if the Futurama team had been actually allowed to make their own Star Trek show. Which, if you know me, you know is pretty much the highest compliment I can pay a TV show. So thank you to all the people who make Star Trek real. And thank you to all of the people out there right now, in this moment, on this day, trying to make the world a better place, partly because they were inspired by Star Trek. Thank you for trying to fight for that future, because it is possible. It is absolutely possible. Yeah, what else can I say? I love you, Star Trek. I love you, my friends. Live long and prosper.